Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You're listening to Women Empowerment Wednesday. I am your host, Coach Latoya. You can reach me on my website at www.coachingbyLatoya.com. Also on Facebook, Coaching by Latoya, and on Instagram at Life Coach Latoya. So if anything resonates with you, or you just want to send a message and you want to say, hey, I like the episode, or you have an idea of an episode that you want me to talk about, definitely send me a message. Be glad to hear from you. All right, let's get into today's show. And now we're back for part two of Kiki's lobbyist activism for this March Women's History Month. So you were saying that now you have, with more women also in Congress, basically, you have the bill back in play, and we're seeing what's going on. Like this happened, instead of taking 6 years, it took 6 hours.
Yes.
On top of all the years you've been working towards this, but look at the difference and how the life and the years have changed. And now you have a team that didn't take so long to say, yes, I believe in you. I believe in what you're talking about. Let's get this going. So how was that process for you? Like, how did you feel?
I was elated. Like one of the representatives called me directly. It wasn't through a legislative aid or anything else. And she just said, Kiki, I'm going to help you. We're going to do this. She said, the same thing happened to me. I used to get asked the same questions. And she says, it needs to stop. I'm going to help you. And a few other women came on board. And so it's right now in the very, very initial phases where they're looking for co-prime sponsors, co-sponsors, reaching out to everybody. And I think the thing that, well, at least what I'm hoping will be helpful is my story is out there with every single female rep. I said to them, the ones I spoke to on the phone, I said, why was Me Too successful? Me Too was successful because women got together to make it so. Right. That's what we need to do in government. You have more women in government, in the representatives, in the Senate. You have to utilize that sisterhood and join. This is not a partisan issue. It's not a partisan issue. And it's not because, I can only do this for my constituents. This is a Commonwealth issue. This is a serious Commonwealth issue. And I need them to understand that. There are a lot, sadly, that did not get back to me, which kind of bothers me. Now, it could be a communication issue with the mail or faxes or whatnot. But the thing is eventually somehow in their inbox or their mailbox is going to be my story. I sent them a 25-page packet. So they would know the history. They would have copies of news articles about this. I have send them copies of great testimonies. The former executive of the Human Relations Commissions testified about the fact that it is not a law. And someone from the EEOC came to Harrisburg to testify, said, there's no protection here. So now it's so much more helpful to me to tell people, no, it's not illegal. And it's still invasive, and it's still wrong, and it still needs to stop. So when they're looking for co-sponsors, they send emails around to everybody. They'll know the backstory. The backstory is just as important as the front story.
Definitely. And I think I see where, from a business point of view, they're saying, oh, the woman has to be the one at home. But there are married women who may not have the support of the husband, who still need to be home with that child, if the child is sick, married or not. And in today's society, especially what just happened with the pandemic,
Yes.
you're lucky if both parents are still working. So many people are out of work. And even beforehand, the way economic times are, you still need a two-parent home. So what's going to happen with the kids? As a parent, period, you still need to be there to take care of the kid, or vice versa. What if it's the man who has to be home all the time and the woman is always going to work? So then the man is going to be at fault for losing the job also, but you won't know that because you're not allowed to find out. They were never going to be asked anyway whether they're married or not. It's just that woman who then has to deny everything and deny her kids. Never should she ever have to do that.
Never.
It's just so many variables. But just like you said, it doesn't matter if I'm married or not, or what's going on in my personal life. That's none of your business. The thing is, I am able to work. I have the qualifications to apply for this job. I could probably make you more money if you hire me. And if that's the case, then I can afford better childcare. Then I don't have to worry about taken off. I can afford to make those provisions if I'm paid what I am worth. So many things that can go into that.
I just want to add, Latoya, at one point, I was hired at this company. It was a temporary job. And at the same time, because at the time I would be a lunchtime activist, the only time I could make calls or call different representatives was during lunchtime. So I was a lunchtime activist. There was one gentleman that hired me, and he overheard me talking to someone about, trying to get this legislation. He goes, "What are you talking about?" And I explained to him. He goes, "I love hiring mothers. Mothers work circles around anyone else here. They are so organized. They are so competent. What this man did was open his business 24 hours so women could come after the kids went to bed and work."
Wow.
Yes.
See? Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But it's the truth.
And the other thing I want to ask, mention is, are women going to take time off to take care of their kids if they're sick? Yes. And if you don't, isn't child services going to charge you for being a neglectful person?
Yes, for
so
sure.
Why isn't society still not embracing the whole picture? Kids can't drive. Kids will need medical attention.
Right.
So just randomly saying, all single mothers are unreliable, blah, 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 blah. What do you know? He didn't even ask me if I had custody of my children, which I did. And I did. But, that's what I'm saying. It's just that stigma that, as a matter of fact, people don't know this, but I must say this here and now. The term maternal profiling. Maternal profiling, if you look it up, you'll find it as a New York Times buzzword. Where did it come from? Cooper Monroe interviewed me when she saw the film that my family and I are in. It's a documentary film called The Motherhood Manifesto. She's from Pennsylvania. She saw this movie and she said, "How is this possible?" And she wrote an article for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and she labeled the article maternal profiling. So if any of your listeners want to know, I'm familiar with that expression. Where did it come from? It came from Cooper Monroe, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and this legislation. That's where it started.
So look at you just trailblazing all kind of ways.
Somebody's got to do it, Latoya. Somebody's got to do it.
So put a pause there, because we're going to catch up with you sometime in the future to find out how that's going. But from there, where else have you led to? Like you have so many more titles. Like, tell me more about Kiki.
So, of my many hats, there's a lot of things that I'm interested in and involved in. As you know, but I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I love teaching Reiki classes. Mm-hmm. I also studied hypnotherapy. I became an ordained minister, and I was able to marry quite a few couples. I also am very passionate right now. I teach Qigong, Qigong is 3,000 years more, several thousand years older than Tai Chi.
Oh.
And these are slow, gentle movements. I also went back to school and became an occupational therapy assistant. And the interesting thing is that I'm able to utilize my other skills in Qigong, in Reiki, in reflexology. I mentioned reflexologist, hypnotherapy. I get to combine all of them in occupational therapy. So it's the different hats that you learn, that you train on during your life. It will all culminate at one point and bring it all together, and you get to utilize them all, not necessarily individually,
Right.
but together as a group. So yes, those are my many hats.
Well, I also love the fact that, yes, as a single mom, never stopped you from doing what you wanted to do. Yeah, you had to fight against a few things, but you still went forward. And even with all of these modalities that you've learned and studied, and I'm sure as time go on, you didn't stay stuck as a secretary. You know what I mean? You just said, you know what, let me try this. Let me go forward with this, and let me try. And I think sometimes it's hard when you're stuck in that box and you have to trust yourself to get out. I mean, even just going to become a reflexologist, and like that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the journey, because had you not gone and I not gone to that same class, we wouldn't even be having this conversation now. I just appreciate stepping out. And it seems like just from the interview alone, you're fearless, Kiki. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. We need trailblazers like you to say, hey, if that's something you want to try it. Go for it. If you're not sure, try something else. And like even what you just said, becoming an occupational therapy assistant, like even and being able to use all of those modalities to help your patients. That's the key. You want to help someone.
It's just amazing how, I want you to think about this. You and I met in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
That's brought us to this moment right now. Had I not met you in 2006, this wouldn't be happening. Correct. And people wouldn't be aware of what's going on with their rights in the workplace.
Correct.
But to take it a step further, when I took reflexology, is it just that I learned how to do it right? Or did I learn how to get myself up, get myself dressed, drive for an hour and a half to get down to the facility to learn the different things? And I will say this because I'm sure it happens to many people. There was a time in my commute down, I had a horrendous panic attack that kind of short-sighted my process in completing the reflexology course, which actually, no, I finally did. But what did I learn? I learned that, yeah, we get panic attacks.
Right.
But once you get on the other side of that panic attack, finish what you started.
Correct.
When you're in the throes of it, you feel like, oh, this is forever. I'm never going to be able to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
This is forever. So, and it's not. And it's not. I've had panic attacks during speaking engagements, but that never stopped me from talking. It just, sometimes it happens. And when it comes to any issue with mental health, people don't want to talk about it.
Truly.
Speaking of, mental health, this is a positive. I have OCD. When I get something in my mind, I'm going to see it through. That's how I lasted 20 years of trying to get the legislation put together.
Right.
Hey, my OCD, let it work for me. That's my quote. OCD, work for me. So whatever your challenges. And then when I went back to school when I was 55 to become an occupational therapy assistant, when I graduated from college, it was 40 years to the day that I graduated from high school.
Wow.
So it was ironic.
Wow.
So it's never too late. And guess what? I wasn't the oldest one in the class.
Look at that.
That is my claim to fame. Even though I went back to school at 55, not the oldest one in the class.
But that's what I mean when I say you're fearless, because we have women out here, people out here who say, oh, I'm too old to do something. You know, it's all in the mind. It's what you believe you're capable of doing. And like, if you're ready to make a shift change, if you're ready to say, hey, I want to learn some more about this part of life or this occupation, or even think about starting a business, it has nothing to do with the age. It only has to do with, do you have the mental and physical capacity to carry it through to the end? And
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I re-enrolled in school. I'm going back for another degree in social work. And people might say, well, look at your age. By the time you graduate, I'm doing a little bit at a time. When I have the money, I'll pay, for a course, and little by little. And Latoya, I will get there.
Yes, you will.
I will get there. I don't care how many years it's going to take me, but that's another amazing profession that people need help.
Yes, they do.
And it kind of goes hand in hand with the occupational therapy assistant. When I was an occupational therapy assistant, I would teach my patients, well, if you need such and such, go to a social worker. If you need such and such, go to the social worker. Well, now I want to be that social worker. I want to know what they know.
Right.
So that I can continue to help people.
Especially after you're seeing from one side, you're seeing from the physical part, and then you can understand how that social worker can tie the ends together. But everything that you've mentioned has also been helping. Every title that you've ascertained has been helping, whether you're helping women's rights, and whether you're helping your for occupational therapy assistant, helping the physically, hypnotherapy, reflexology, Reiki, Qigong, like it's always helping in one form or another. And that's just who your spirit is. I think that's why we connect so well.
Thank you. I think so. The other thing I want to just add with that was what I do now with Qigong. I used to teach. Now, I learned Qigong in 1998. Okay, 1998. And all of a sudden, and so why did I learn it then? I don't know. But fast forward in 2015, I started teaching my patients how to do Qigong. And they loved it. They loved it. It was something different for them to do. And now what I do is I teach out in the community. I teach to people in the community where I live, and I have a Qigong class, but I utilize my occupational therapy assistant skills when I teach the exercises. I pick exercises that are specific to keep people's body in specific motions to help them with their activities of daily living. Putting on your coat, reaching for your dishes, emptying your dishwasher, those movements to keep them moving. And so they may, on one hand, they think I'm just learning these exercises, but underneath it all, they're getting occupational therapy each time they come to a class. So again, it's a marriage of these helping skills. And I think that's our assignment from God when he sends us out. Guess what? You ask yourself many times, why am I doing this? Why did I end up here? Why am I doing this? It's like, well, he has a bigger plan. Unfortunately, he just doesn't tell us what the plan is when we need to know.
Right. When we're asking why. Just like even out of nowhere, I felt like I had to learn, I won't say out of nowhere, but I had to learn reflexology. But the key was I was going to start 3 months prior. And then I started having some personal issues. And it didn't go that way. And then I got the call from the school, hey, we're having another class. Are you still interested? And I said, yeah. And then that's how I met you.
Yes.
In that class. Had I gone to the class previous, I wouldn't have met you. And then I wouldn't have become a Reiki practitioner, now master, under your tutelage. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Which set me on a beautiful journey.
It's amazing. It's amazing. The education. If I had to stress, a long time ago, my daughter kept saying to me, you need to go to college. You need to go to college. I'm like, what do I need to know? I made it this far. There's nothing more I need to know. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I to this day, every time I learn something new, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's like another gift to have that. You never know enough.
That is true. And you see how there's always layers. So just like you said, you didn't know when you took Qigong back in 98 that you were going to be teaching it 2015. Like, who would have known?
Exactly.
And explain a little bit about Qigong.
Qigong is wonderful. Thanks for asking. So Qigong is our ancient Chinese exercises. The Chinese believe in utilizing the energy around us to heal us. And a lot of the moves that are taught is, well, the Chinese thousands and thousands of years ago studied nature and animals. Animals were always healthy. Mm-hmm. Animals didn't have a doctor to go to. Was it Dr. Doolittle? There was no Dr. Doolittle. Animals were always healthy. Was it something about the way they move? Was it something about the way they breathe? What is it about them and their energy? So I was just teaching a couple of moves this week in my class, and one of them is called Golden Rooster Stands on One Leg. So there's a name for every move. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing this particular move, it's about balance. It's about standing on one foot. So there's different names and different movements that we do that mimic the movement of animals. What do I love about it the most? It is user-friendly. It is easy. It is gentle. It's adaptable. Prior to the pandemic, I was teaching in nursing homes. And I had this wonderful, wonderful group class of women that would come every single week. And I could observe from my standpoint with my occupational therapy assistant eyes, how limited are they in their range of motion? Can they lift their arm up all the way, or does it go part way? So I'm that's my job is to teach them Qigong, but there's still occupational therapy assistant in my heart. Right. How do we make something better? And I noticed week after week, their range of motion got better and better. And because it's adaptable, first thing I tell people, you can't do it wrong. You can't do it wrong. And I think my face seized up and I don't know why. Oh, there I go. So if you can't do it wrong, people want to be successful. And when you teach a group, there's a certain thing about group mentality. It's like, oh, how come Betty could get her arm up that high? Well, I'm getting my arm up that high as well. Right. So there's a little bit of that going in, but they learn breathing. They learn movements. To build up their chi. Chi means energy. Chi means energy. Gong means breath or work. Energy, breath, work, or skills. And there's breathing that's involved with the different exercises as well. And it's just plain lovely. It really is. It's just, I call it meditation in motion.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, it's just wonderful. And I that's another thing I hope to get more people involved with doing it and experiencing it, because it'll bring down your stress level, increase your range of motion, just help you in so many ways. There's a lot of documentation on the benefits of Qigong. Well, thanks for asking about it.
Oh, sure. You're talking about breath work. You're talking about, because you normally teach outside, right? So you're breathing that fresh air, and I'm thinking about it now, and it's like, wow, I want to do some Qigong.
Yeah. You want to fill up those lungs, yes. And some of the movements are just so beautiful and so graceful. I was never very athletic at all in school. And if you would have told me years ago that I would be doing this, I'd say, yeah, no way. Mm-hmm. But the more and more I got into it and realized it's what your body can do. It's not like Zumba, not that there's anything wrong with Zumba.
Right.
And there's a major difference between Qigong and Tai Chi. Tai Chi is more of martial art forms, and they're very specific and they're very deliberate. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Qigong, it's not as rigid. You don't have to have a similar pattern, and which again contributes to success of the people. And when they're successful, they're going to want to do it again. And that's the whole key point of it. Keep on coming, keep on moving. Mm-hmm.
We talked already about layers and how things, when you look at one thing, you see something else. And you started to tell me earlier before we started about puzzle.
Yes, I have a card. Thanks. I wanted to bring this up. This is so important to me. So everybody needs to see your recording on the Entrepreneur Impact Summit. They have to see it. It was so inspirational to me. Number one, congratulations to you about that. But I was sitting there listening to you talking in the summit, and you were talking about how you started with reflexology. You thought that was going to be your day job.
Yes.
And then, of course, you trained and learned Reiki. It's like, oh, that's going to be my day job. And then you went to school, for business. Oh, this is going to be my day job. But it kept going on and on and on and so this is what came to me after I listened to you. It's like life is like a puzzle. And these things that you do, these things that I do, these are just puzzle pieces. I want you to think about it. When you do put a puzzle together, what are you looking for? The outside edge and those corner pieces.
Yes.
That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not that anything we did was easy, but reflexology, we did a lot. That was a lot of work in that.
Yes.
Reiki, there's a lot of work in that. When I went to school for occupational therapy assistant, these were all pieces. These were all pieces on the edge. But the more we've learned, we start filling in that middle puzzle of our life. At the time that we're learning things, we don't know why we're doing it. Okay, I studied reflexology. Did I think that was going to be my day job? Yes. Was it? No. But listen, that was a puzzle piece of my life. In 2016, I worked at a specialty hospital, and these were gravely critical patients. Gravely critical, most of them in a coma. Mm-hmm. And I walked into a gentleman's room, and he was hooked up to life support, etc. And his wife was there. And out of the blue, she says to me, I wish I knew somebody who knew how to do reflexology.
Hello.
Like, what? And I said, why? And she goes, I have a friend who's a reflexologist, and she said, whatever you do, you need to get your husband some reflexology while he's in a coma. It's very important. You and I know, and for those who don't know, there are many reflexes in the bottom of the feet that pertain to the rest of your body.
Correct.
So I was honored and privileged to teach this man's wife how to do reflexology in the hospital setting while he's in a coma. So she felt actively involved in his care. Did I know this in 2006? Oh, heck no.
Right.
But it was, you know what I mean? It was, and so when things like this happen, I feel like somebody hands us 3 more pieces to our life. You know the expression, if it's meant to be, it's going to come easily. So when you do certain things and they start taking off, that's a big piece of the puzzle. It might be in another corner. The problem lies, it's something that you brought up in your summit. That's why I'm looking at my notes. Sometimes you don't have the support of family and friends. To me, it's like they're hiding puzzle pieces on us. If they're putting in that energy, that non-supporting energy, it takes away from our puzzle. Yes. And it's up to us to go beyond that and believe in ourselves. Where does Reiki come in? I do Reiki on myself. I do Reiki on my emails that I send to legislators. I put good energy into it. The first time I testified in Harrisburg, you don't think I was scared witless? I was. I did Reiki around the room to clear out the negative energy. How much energy do you think is in a hearing room from all those people?
Right.
So that's how I got to use Reiki. I get to use all these different things. Hypnotherapy. I got to use self-hypnosis when I went back to school. Going back to school as an older adult is challenging. I needed self-hypnosis to calm me down before I took an exam.
Wow.
What if I didn't have that?
Right.
That helped me. And then with there's a thing called waking hypnosis. Quick story. I was working at a hospital, during my field work. And my supervisor came up to me one day and she said, "Why is everybody doing everything you ask them to do?" "What do you mean?" And I said, "Why wouldn't they?" She goes, "Sometimes they physically can't." She said, "I watch you day after day with these people, and whatever you ask them to do, they do it. They don't question it. They don't say, I can't do it, or what, they just do it. What are you doing?" And then it dawned on me. I said, oh my gosh, during my hypnotherapy training, we learned so much about waking hypnosis. It's the ability to hypnotize someone while they're awake. It's not a trance or anything like that. Think of how easy it gets to be hypnotized. You're driving from one place to another. You get there and you go, I don't even remember driving.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we've had that experience. But what I would do is I would say to my patient, I would use the skills and training that I learned. You just talk monotone. So it's getting into the subconscious. I want you to pick up that weight. Pick up the weight, bend your elbow. I want you to do a bicep curl. Bring the weight up. Bring it up to your shoulder, slowly turn, push the weight down. We're going to do that several times. Do this again. Lift up the weight, bring it up to your shoulder, put it back down. So you see how everything, you probably feel like lifting weight. So by the way I spoke to them and the way I gave them instructions of what to do, it wasn't, do you think you could do this? You know,
right.
Are you able to? It never occurred to me that they couldn't. But then she caught on. She goes, some of the patients who had a stroke and couldn't move, she goes, they're moving. How are you getting them to move? So it's amazing. Another quick thing about Reiki, I was working on a man who was completely paralyzed on his right side. He felt nothing. And then I was doing some manual muscle massage, and he looks over at me, he goes, "Why are your hands so hot?"
That's the Reiki.
It was the Reiki. It was the Reiki, but here is a person, and like, you can feel this? He goes, of course I can. It's like burning. But if you would have put an ice cube in his hand, he wouldn't have felt it.
Right, because he felt the heat from the Reiki.
But he felt the heat from the energy of the Reiki. And I did Reiki on his arm like every day. It's possible to utilize it in your skills. So who knew in 1997, when I learned Reiki, that again, in 2000, whatever, I'm incorporating this into helping people as an occupational therapy assistant. So it's all these puzzle pieces. And every time we learn something, just think about it. Like when I was listening to you and I was saying, well, Latoya, all of this is not always going to be our day job. We'd like it to be our day job, but sometimes we need our day job to support us so we could do what matters.
Yes.
What really matters.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, like, ask me my income as a working women's rights activist. Well, in my opinion, it's priceless. Correct. Nobody's paying me to do this. But what's the price of freedom and dignity? Priceless. But I need my day job. Right. I got to pay for postage. I have to get paper for the computer, for the printer rather. So it's another piece. Right. So, like why it came in my head that I need to go for social work, I don't know. But when I get there, when I get to the end, it'll be shown to me. Yes, it's like somebody's going to handle some more puzzle pieces.
For sure. What is your mantra that keeps you going through all of these journeys?
You know what? I'm looking at my notes. I have a couple of mantras. The one is, what do you do with the mad that you feel?
Right.
You got to do something productive about it. You just can't be mad about it. You've got to take that energy, harness it. How do you use that for good? What do you do with the mad that you feel? And the other one, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Oh, I like it. I love it.
Those are my two.
And how can our listeners find you?
Your listeners can find me. My website is kikihealingenergy.com. And my email is on there as well. And my email is kpeppard@ptd.net. And yes, reach out to me if you have any questions, any concerns, need any elaboration on anything that I talked about. You can tell I love to talk. That should probably be my mantra. Well, I love to talk. Anybody who will listen.
But you have powerful things to say. Thank you so much, Kiki, for doing this. And I hope our listeners do take the time to reach out to you, learn, even help with the cause. There's so many things that you're working on. So I appreciate you. And until next time.
Thank you. Take care, Latoya.
Well, that will conclude today's episode on Women Empowerment Wednesdays. Don't forget, you can reach me at my website, www.coachingbyLatoya.com, on Facebook, Coaching by Latoya, and on Instagram at Life Coach Latoya. See you next Wednesday.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.